Good evening and welcome to FTB Sports on what I think is weekend 5 or 6 or whatever it is. It's the second after the international break, and boy, did it get exciting this weekend. Lots of different aspects that we're going to chat about for ages. Well, at least an hour. But first, I just want to chat about a guy, even I, as probably the oldest member of the panel, I didn't watch Jimmy Greaves play. The first I really knew of Jimmy Greaves was when I used to watch on a Saturday morning, the Saint and Greavesy show, after he'd finished football. And what a fantastic character he was. You know, talking about football with Ian St. John of Liverpool, giving all the facts and humour, almost like the grounding of what we know as today's football media. But I just thought I'd just share with you, because I thought I'd check out some stats on Jimmy Greaves, and it's mind-blowing. Jimmy Greaves began his career with Chelsea before spells at AC Milan, Spurs and West Ham. So you've got a player who in the 1960s was already European experienced. We can actually probably count on one hand how many successful Englishmen there's been playing in European football. He scored, and there was lots of controversy in his England performance. Many people said, you know, just like Glenn Hoddle and other talented greats, he didn't play for England often enough. And there was a huge kerfuffle in the 66 Cup final. But he played 57 times for England and scored 44 goals. And he was the people's choice. And I reflected on this when everyone was criticising Gareth Southgate on the final of the Euros and said, well, you know, really, Grealish should have been playing, the man of talent, etc. And we lost, and there was a bit of a grumble. Well, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, because in 1966, Jimmy Greaves was the people's champion. Everyone wanted Jimmy Greaves playing in the final, and Sir Ralph Ramsey chose Geoff Hurst. Now, it was a very controversial decision, and history was on the side of Sir Ralph Ramsey, because obviously England won the World Cup in 66, and therefore his incredible gamble was forgiven. If we hadn't won the World Cup in 66, the country would have gone wild for the fact that he didn't pick Jimmy Greaves. He holds the record for the most goals in English top flight with 357. 357 goals, and scored 266 in 379 matches for Spurs. Jimmy Greaves' 41 goals in 1960-61 remains a record in the season for Chelsea. Lukaku's not going to get anywhere near that. And the Spurs record with 37 in 62-63. This guy was a phenomenon, and I just wanted a moment to pause for Jimmy Greaves, probably the most natural number 9 England has ever had. So, pause onto that. Okay, so let's really, we've now got to kick off and start to talk about this amazing weekend's football we've got. I did some crazy stuff on this, and I looked at, you know, what was the goal of the day, the idiot of the day, and the wow players of the weekend. And we'll go through every game, and we'll maybe have a look at those sort of controversial things. But thank you, Mr. K, coming back on the show. Evening, Ollie. Very good to see you.
I think you still got the overlay on, Ian.
It's okay. He looks better than me, so we could keep him up.
It looks better than us, honestly.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's a very nice picture of him as well, which is like, you know, I think the character that most people remember him is really the one that was on the TV, that we've seen him like as we grew up. We weren't lucky enough or privileged enough to actually watch him play live in the 60s. I wasn't old enough. I was born in 70. But yeah, it's a wonderful character outside the pitch, and an amazing footballer on the pitch, unassuming but knocking the ball. Can you imagine what you have today? Wow.
I'm just trying to get the overlay off the screen. What's the?
It doesn't want to go.
Just click on it again.
Sorry?
And it'll go. Or click on it again and it'll go.
No, it's
If not, pop another one on.
Greasy,
if not, click something else on.
Greasy does not want to go.
Greasy doesn't want. His ghost is still there.
Never mind.
If you click on him and then click on him again, maybe that might do it. Double click.
No, it doesn't
Might
want to
do.
do that. It doesn't want to do that.
Oh dear.
Doesn't want to do
I
that.
may have to.
Even our outside guys. But let's crack on with this because we want to talk about the first game of the weekend, where Friday night brought us Leeds against Newcastle. Really exciting game. Ended up 1-1. And
Crackerjack game.
I had my first idiot of the weekend, and I want to nominate the Newcastle United fans for idiots of the weekend. They have no money. Their owner has allowed Steve Bruce no money to spend on the team. They're 1-0 down at half-time, and they're going absolutely bonkers, putting all the players off, etc. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Brilliant.
Got a bit of an echo.
Okay. Let's go to Ollie first.
There we go.
Oh, well done.
Thank you.
There we go.
Let's go to Ollie first. What did you think of Leeds Newcastle? 1 each.
I have to say, I've gone back and watched every match, but that was the one that I haven't watched. So I did hear a few things on the media. Apparently, Brucey fell out with his number 2. Is that right?
Yeah, there was a big argument between
the
number 2 and who's the striker, the lad who can't get in the team?
Yeah,
Linton. Is it Joe Linton?
No.
I heard there's a big disharmony between the players and Bruce, and the players have lost faith in Steve Bruce. This is what I've been hearing. Unfortunately, that was the one match I didn't watch the highlights on. But
okay.
I hear it's not good at Newcastle at the moment.
I watched the highlights, and Newcastle gave as good as they've got. And when I was chatting, I was chatting to my brother about teams that are likely to go down. And I didn't think Newcastle will be in the mix because they haven't got. Every single game has been really close. They've been unlucky, and they fought it all the way back, despite the fact that the fans were shouting for Steve Bruce's blood. They fought back and equalised 1-1. And in my my goals of the weekend, that the equaliser by Saint Maximin was in there, and also my wow players of the weekend. He was my first call. I just thought he was incredible for Newcastle. The fans love him. Mr. K, thoughts?
I think to myself that Newcastle is one of those teams that if the players are starting to rebel against the manager, that means that the players feel that they can do more, and maybe he's holding them back. And it seems to me that having a 5-man in your defense isn't really working. Should really go for a 4-back. I mean, it's at home, and it's a negative style of play. You really want to take the game a little bit to dominate the midfield, and have some options up front rather than just asking Saint to do all the running around for you. Now that boy can run around, yeah, for sure. But Almiron needs someone else to pass the ball to as well, other than just try and knock it out to Joe Linton or knock it out to Saint Maximum. Yeah. So I think to myself that the team is proving itself to be a little bit more resilient than I originally anticipated them to be. Because I had them down to lose this game, to tell you the truth. I thought Leeds would come down there and just wipe the floor with them. And to a certain degree, when it started off, that's what I thought exactly was going to happen. And as you rightly said, the team rallied up together. And I think that was a rally call which the players put on together on the pitch rather than instructions being given on the side. And I think that once that communication breaks down, then you're going to get a not so good dressing room, really. And I think it's a bit of a shame because I think that they have the ability to stay up another season. If they carry on like this, if they keep arguing with each other, then it could go worse for them. But yeah, it was a good, entertaining game. I think the second half really pitted out. It wasn't really that much to watch, but the first half was very exciting. And I think for neutral fans out there, I think you'd like to see 2 teams like that in the bottom half of the table to be battling one another. And that's exactly what you got. So they weren't exactly sitting back. But you know what second halves are like? Second halves, they just want to protect what they've got. And things tend to fizzle out. Possession, of course, Leeds is going to have it 2-1 because that's the way Leeds are. They're possession-based, moving the ball around sort of team. In terms of shots, I mean, Leeds had plenty of shots. Now, this is really strange because I think to myself, if Leeds had a team, if they had a better striker than Bamford, Well, I mean, Bamford's all right, but if they had like...
He had some really awful...
Yeah, okay, he's a proper awful game. What I'm saying is, if they had a second option...
The Leeds goal as well was pretty lucky. I've just watched it back, and that was
Rafina.
a fluke goal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to feel for Newcastle. You've got to feel all the way for them.
But you know, if you're going to be a team like Newcastle, you have to expect the luck to run against you. But with Leeds, it's a simple case that they have failed to invest in a striker, a Premier League proven striker. And there was a couple that were available. Ings was available. He went. In fact, the Newcastle striker, he wasn't even on today, right? No, he didn't even play on. Oh my days, you're right. Is that the one that was having problems with them? Callum Wilson.
No. It was, oh God, my memory.
I thought he was injured.
He was the lad he used to play for Crystal Palace. He's played for a variety of clubs. He's kind of reserve at Newcastle. He can only score goals in the Championship. Someone's going to help us out in comments. I'm waiting for it.
Probably Gems. She's been the angel so far. She came along and helped us earlier, right?
Help us out. It was the Newcastle player, but you know, idiots of the weekend, the Newcastle fans. Sorry if there's any Newcastle fans out there. It's just that you 1-0 down to an unlucky goal at halftime. You're giving your team hell at home, and somehow they claw it back. They play well. They battle. They get a 1-1 draw. And if you've got angst, aim it at the owner. Don't aim at the manager and the players, because I actually think under the circumstances, they're doing this about as good as it is, and they'll be good enough to stay up.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't lose, did they?
No. It's been tight all the way.
I think that these two teams should be very happy that they got a point each and move on. Mm-hmm. That's personally what I reckon. I reckon they should be very, very happy that they played against each other and managed to get a point. Leeds, I'm not too sure. I mean, Leeds are going to do another one of those seasons where they're just going to keep pittering away at what they do, and I don't see them moving anywhere forward unless they get a recognised striker. Newcastle, I don't see them doing anything until they change their management. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. It's a badly run club. I mean, I know something about that, but you know, it's I think we should really good luck, Newcastle.
Who on earth would
I don't think they get relegated out.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to what I thought was a really exciting game and an exciting team, which is Brentford against Wolves. It ended Wolves 0, Brentford 2. And again, when I'm chatting to my brother, because we have fascinating conversations about football, I'm worried about Wolves. I think they could end up in the bottom 3. Whereas Brentford, I mean, Tony was fantastic. I mean, as a club, you know, I'm a Man City fan, and I was begging for us to sign a number 9. And we've just looked at some maximum there. You know, you've got Tony, and there's a whole raft. You've got Danny Ings, and they were all less than £30 million players. But have a look. Ollie, thoughts? Ollie, did you get a chance to look at Brentford Wolves?
I did. Like I said, the Newcastle game was the only one that I didn't get. I think we got a lot of stick Arsenal for losing to Brentford, but you saw today, well, on that day, that they can give anyone problems. Wolves at home, they're just getting bullied from that corner. When they get the pen, Tony really tussling and pulling, but he got pulled back. It was a bang on penalty for me. You knew Tony was going to score. The Joes hits the bar, but the second goal, another great assist from Tony. He was a star player. Like, he just had a great game. Then Wolves got a bit of a lifeline for 2 yellows from Baptiste in quick succession. They had to go, but Brentford nearly got a third anyway. So I thought Wolves were really poor at home. Never really made many chances, and Brentford were amazing. They were even better when they went down to 10 men. You just knew they weren't going to score.
After the Newcastle fans on my little list of idiots of the day was Baptiste for Brentford. He'd already been booked. And his tackle was a classic rugby tackle. He slid from waist to ankle to take him down. I don't know what the lad was thinking. And he was about to be substituted. The number was up on the board. Mr. K,
I think to myself that sometimes players get a bit of a rush of blood to their brain and they try to do a little bit too much when their number's been called up. I think that was a situation with Baptiste where he just overexerted himself more than he should have. And I think composure is one of those things that teams like new teams that are coming up into the Premier League, their players have to learn a little bit of composure. And it's all very well having all that energy in the first half, right? Yeah. But when you start to go overboard with your exciting tackling, so to speak, you're gonna get the wrong one, and you're gonna do it late, and that's it, bang. And he already was on a yellow. He should have been more careful. But that's composure. It really comes down to composure. And I think the poor lad let the blood get to his head, really. You want to put up the Brentford lineup?
Yeah, let me go back to the Brentford lineup. It is there.
There we go. Thoughts? Yep. So Baptiste there, I mean, basically the 3-5-2, it works for them. And I think to myself that we haven't seen that many teams employ this particular setup the way that they've done it and actually be exciting. And they just came up into the Premier League. So I give kudos to them, because they're similar to Leeds when they came up as well, that they carried on playing their game style, regardless of what they were up against. And I think Brentford has done that as well. They're going to hit more times they're going to miss. And, I think Arsenal probably, I think Brentford probably played them at the best time, because Arsenal hadn't settled into the Premier League, in this season. So they hit them early, and that was kind of good. So that's 3 points that they picked up. 3 points again now picked up. So I think that they're actually doing quite well, Brentford.
I think they're doing.
Are they going to do Wolves?
I think they're doing amazing.
Are they going to do Wolves and come up in the top half of the table afterwards?
Looking that way. It's looking that way. I mean,
yeah, looking there. I think they're switched with Wolves, isn't it? But Wolves is still a solid outfit. The only problem is they're not scoring enough. I worry. I do worry for Wolves. I don't think they look great.
I'm worried about Wolves. Let's move on. The next game out of the bag. The next game out of the bag was Burnley nil, Arsenal 1.
And look, I put this T-shirt on, and I didn't even realise that. Yeah, Wenger's last game was Burnley at home.
Yeah, well, it is. I like looking at the Sunday Times. I like the headlines that come up. Ollie, flick your microphone off a sec, mate. You're the echo. You're the echo guy.
Am I? All right. Sorry.
Pop yourself on mute a sec. I think that's it. Yeah. Oh no, maybe it's me.
I thought it was you, Ian. Ian, can you take that one off the screen now so we can just put it on for like 5 seconds, then take it off again so we can.
I don't know how to take it off. I'll be honest.
You click on it again. If you float over it says hide, and you just click onto that. Click onto where it says hide.
Want to do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to apologise about the technical issues we've had today. But the content is where it's at.
The viewers can see us, though.
Yeah, at the side.
Ian, they can see us. Ian's the only one they can't see.
It wasn't me that was echoing, was it? Because I was pranging out as well. I thought it was me. No, there's no echo anymore.
Maybe it's the closeness to the mic. But I love the headlines in the Sunday Times. So on the Brentford game, their headline was "Tony takes lead as Brentford prosper." We'll come to I'm leading you in here, Ollie. So the headline is Arteta keeps recovery act going.
Right.
Discuss.
So you've heard me moan about things going against us in the first 3 matches. It feels like now the right decisions are being made for us, but that doesn't for 1 minute think that they were the right decisions that are happening because they're the right decisions. But I think teams go up for anything against us because I think the ref will get it because they've been given really soft decisions that get given us against us. But Saka against Norwich, no way was a handball. And the pen that was given, it wasn't a pen either because he makes the save. It's fair and simple. But it's funny. We go to Burnley. We win tough game away. And we're still getting mugged off by our own fans. I don't get it. I think it was a turning point in the season.
What are they saying?
Well, just a lot of fan camps, people still being very negative against Arteta and Arsenal. But you take the 3 points and you've got to be happy with that.
There was actually quite a lot of praise for the way that Arsenal went about it because Burnley really put a lot of effort into it. You must have been pleased defensively because there was almost like like a tsunami of attacks from Burnley, and the defense stood pretty sound.
I think the defense won the game actually for us, really. If Chelsea get that kind of result, then everyone says they're amazing. But I just don't think we can do anything right at the moment. But I mean, I was well happy. I watched a lot of the game, and it wasn't the greatest game in the world, but Tomiyasu, he was amazing. Mr. K, I think you said how good he was before we signed him, and
he wanted him at Spurs.
He had such a great game. Gabriel was outstanding. The kind of player we missed against Chelsea and Brentford when we got bullied. And Ramsdale, I mean, he had another great game. The defence won us the game. I don't think Ben White was very good, but who cares? He got a clean sheet. I feel like we lacked the quality.
Again, I had him on my idiot of the weekend award.
Yeah, he didn't have the greatest game,
and it could have all gone horribly wrong at that moment. I think it was the correct decision. I think Ramsdale kind of got there first, but boy, White could have lost the game, and that just, I don't know, lazy back pass.
It was, but it was a great save anyway. I don't know why Deitch was complaining about it, because it was a save. He won the ball, and it was the correct decision. But that's what goes back to my point. The correct decisions are being made now, but even then, people are saying, managers and people in the game saying those weren't the correct decisions. Whereas before, we were getting nothing going to VAR and not getting any decisions even looked at that way. So I don't know, but I feel we lack quality in the final third. We probably should have. If we had got a bit more clinical with our passing, we might have got another. But great free kick from Odegaard, and you win the game 1-0, and you're happy. We march on to London Derby, 2 wins in a row, and
Gabriel back. Gabriel
exactly what we needed.
Pretty well.
Yeah, no, he's been immense since he's been back.
It's ages since I've seen those two play.
Yeah, but Gabriel's been faultless. Like I say, Ben White's had a few issues, but it's amazing how we were like, Arsenal 6-point relegation, all of this stuff. Now, if we beat Spurs, now we beat Spurs.
If you beat Spurs by 4 goals, you're ahead of us.
Yeah, I think we can do that. I think we can do it.
I mean, it's the interesting thing which I saw
Mr.
about
K conceded 6 in 2 games. As Spurs fan.
I think to a certain degree, I genuinely think to myself that the way Arsenal set up with their 4-1-4-1 really was the way to get around Burnley's midfield. And if you look at the way Burnley set up, they actually put 4-4-2 in there, and classic 4-4-2 Burnley style. And if you look over here, it's 4-1-4-1, and it's really helped the defense out quite a lot. Thomas Partey has really been helping out. I think he's maturing as a player for Arsenal, and I think the team has started to get together and rallying behind Arteta. And whenever you have any type of set of players that decide to step up their game to help their manager out, then that's the opposite of what's happening with Newcastle. And you're seeing the confidence build up, and it's starting to build up because he's had faith in the players when there's been so many fans turning around and thinking, hey man, the team's been playing like crap, they need to change this, they need to change that. He's stuck with his players. He knows who to tweak with, and slowly but surely he's going to pull out the results.
I always felt they had too many new players to be able to hit the deck running. They had to bed them in, and then they had 2 or 3 key players who were injured. Ollie, I think I've always felt that stick with Arteta. He will get the blend right. It's an evolution, not a revolution. It was never going to hit the deck running.
Yeah, and I think people kind of got a bit ahead of themselves, but the big game is on Sunday. I'll be there, so
you're going. Mr. K, you going?
I'm going to be there, most likely protesting outside.
Oh.
But no, it's at Arsenal's ground, so.
Yeah,
no, I don't know. I haven't got a ticket for it, and don't really watch all the games live anyway.
We'll have to do something live.
For me, the problem is I'm actually working that day, so it's going to be tight for me to get to the game. I don't think I will get to the game in time. It's one of those ones where you wish you want to be at the derby.
We are
I don't know. It's always
we are the FTB family, FTB Sports. So like us, share us. Errol and Amondi did a fantastic show this afternoon, I have to say. Stuck in my throat. Live at United, fans' reaction. It was outstanding. So if anyone's watching, check that out. That was really good. So Ollie, maybe, just maybe, you could fix something with a couple of mates outside the Arsenal next weekend.
not a problem. What would you want me to do? Some interviews and stuff?
Well, we'll talk about it. I think it's a wonderful opportunity.
AFTV style.
Yeah. We'll push them aside and we'll just have.
No, I think
need to move
I think
on.
if there's a
We need to
positive,
move on.
I think if it's positive, you should go out there, Oliver. I think you should represent the positive nature of Arsenal, as opposed to jumping on the bandwagon when things are going wrong and there's a ranting going on.
So, where I would kind of like to do it is down the pub. So do the interviews in the pub rather than outside the ground.
Yeah.
And then you can, kind of have a drink and
socialise. I'm in London next weekend. Going to be good. We need to move on. Let's move on to the next game. And hey, I'm going to speak from the heart here. I'm not going to talk about Man City yet. I did go to the Etihad on Saturday, and you always worry after a European midweek game when you're playing a club that hasn't had a midweek game. And City were very, very lethargic. And I couldn't help but keep looking at my text on my phone, etc., about how Liverpool were getting on, because technically I thought Palace would give them a really hard time, and all the respect in the world, they managed to push Palace. So I want to say respect. I thought it would be tougher. Palace fought really well, but Liverpool were bloody clinical. I think Mane scored in 10 consecutive games against Crystal Palace, and now was it 100 for Liverpool at the weekend. Staying with you, Ollie. Here's the Liverpool lineup. If you want to make a comment, lots of changes. Palace without their two fabulous fullbacks.
Well, the thing is, Milner. That man is. He's someone else, isn't he? I think he. They showed it on Match of the Day. Every stat he was first, and he was absolutely out this world. But Palace played all right. To be fair, was it 3 goals from 3 set pieces?
And I know Vieira was really pissed about that.
He was. But Salah was on form. I think Alisson had a good game. Palace still played out from the back, but Liverpool's press was too good. Palace had the chances, but Alisson was just on his game. And Liverpool, just the quality won out in the end.
The echo's getting really quite bad on us. I don't know if it's you or it's me. I've just put myself on mute and it was still going. Oh God, it's neither of us.
All right, I always on mute from here, so I don't get no effect on the echoes and so forth. Let me take this.
Hey, maybe that's it. Hey, I've got the.
There's no echo.
Hey.
Oh, there's a little bit.
Okay.
It could be me. But the thing is, I've only been putting it on when I'm talking. I normally turn it off straight away.
But
it may be me.
What was I going to say? I mean, did you see that, Ollie? Did you see that final goal by Keita when Awita? It's difficult to say. Awita punches the ball out, and Keita volleys it just calm as you like. Great body action, straight into the net, and actually he just stands there and goes, "Whatever." I just. Yeah, hats off to Liverpool. That was a piece of magic. And I thought they were clinical, and yet. So,
do you reckon they're going to be? Do they look like they're running towards the league in any way? Running like competing against Man City? Do they look like the team that could do it?
If they can hold all their players together without injury, yeah, I think they've got a very good chance of doing it. The game could have moved though, and this is football. There was a ball played in from Conor Gallagher from the right to left, right over. And Edouard, the opportunity, the guy who scored 2 goals in 5 minutes coming on last week, it was a dreadful for the first touch. It was like Lukaku 5 years ago. And the chance went begging. And that was at 1-0. If Palace had equalised there, I just wonder what would have happened. But that's football, isn't it?
I think Palace is that type of team that they need that little bit of confidence, something to run their way, and then all of a sudden they're in your face. And that confidence grows over time if they have at least part of a foothold in the game. But that's the thing with Liverpool. They know how to take those chances away from you. They know how to present a solid block in front of you. And they do ride their chances, but they have quality players to ride chances. So it's not the same thing. If I think to myself that Liverpool, if they're playing like this and they're still winning games, that's the hallmarks of champions. Going through. I mean, Man City, right? If you look at Man United, for example, like they're very lucky. Anyway, we'll come on to them in a little while. So.
Can't imagine any manager changing, and I've got to think about the fullbacks. It would have been Trent Alexander-Arnold. You're going to face down that side Wilf Zaha, and you're still prepared to gamble on changing the fullback. Actually, no, I think they had to, if I remember rightly. Trent Alexander-Arnold was going to play, and I think he had a tummy bug or felt ill before the game, and Milner came at the last minute, so that was it. But they still got away with it. So you got to say hats
he's
off.
A workhorse. I mean, that guy is like he should be legendary status when it comes to the Premier League. Milner. I mean, the guy's an absolute tank.
I didn't have him
always
in my
reliable
players of the weekend. Maybe I should have done, but it's really interesting. I think Milner is 35, Ronaldo is 36, and we'll come on with the last game of the day. Thiago Silva, 37 years old. The performance I watched this afternoon from Thiago Silva, in terms of one-man band, he almost has to be my player of the weekend, but we'll come to him in a moment. But we'll come on to it. Okay, so let's move on. I've got to kick this one off. Man City 0, Southampton 0. Bear with me, fellas, while I give a little bit of summary of my trip to the Etihad. Firstly, it was a beautiful afternoon, gorgeous sunshine. And, there were 53,000 in there. And I promise you, anyone who takes the piss out of City in the Etihad, there was a lot of noise. You could barely see a seat. Yes, you could see one or two if you looked. But there was 53,000 people. And there was a lot of noise. And there's a lot of noise, isn't it? And there's a lot of noise in this echo. But Pep has to be careful about what he wishes for, because he went out there and criticised the fans for not turning up. There was only 35,000 there. So they did turn up, and the ground was full, and they made a lot of noise, and they sang his name, and they also took the slight mick out themselves by talking about, singing about empty seats at the Etihad, and the team didn't perform. They were just so lackluster. I couldn't get it. I'm not going to take anything away from Southampton, because Southampton were really well organised, well disciplined, quite exciting going forward. I think in Armstrong, they've got a hell of a forward. And, they were pretty good. And City could have lost. Because in my Idiot of the Day awards, I did put Kyle Walker, because he lost the ball and then he went for a wild man tackle and somehow got out of jail at what was it, 80 minutes or whatever. And that, I thought we were slam dunk. I thought we were done for at that stage. But I don't know what else to say about it. It was just so lackluster by Man City. The structure was difficult. They didn't change as many players as Liverpool even. But there you go. And they could have lost it. And right at the very end, actually, if anyone saw the replay on Match of the Day where Sterling was offside for that goal, the header from Foden. But actually, both of them followed it in. And actually, if Foden had got the touch rather than Sterling, it would have been a goal, because he wouldn't have been offside, because he was the player who hit it in the first place. So Sterling had anything about him, he'd have let Foden put that in, not himself. But hey, such is life. It is the 90th minute.
Ian, what's the situation with the defence for Man City? They've got Aki in there. I mean, he's obviously a world-renowned defender, right?
Well, I don't want to be too critical of the guy.
I mean, this is Man City we're talking about here. Title defence.
I've got a view on this. His father's just died, etc. But I never thought he was good enough to play for City. Let me get technical just for a moment. Laporte and Stones are fantastic players, great athletes. They sit right on the line of the first attacker, right up to them. So they're anticipating all the time. They've got enough brain and pace to be anticipated. And actually, they do far more interceptions. But more importantly, when they're bringing the ball out from the back, they only release the ball as literally the attacker is about to come onto them. Whereas the difference is Nathan Ake stands back. He stands deeper and he stops before he passes the ball. And he passes the ball and there's still at least another 10 yards between him and the attacker. He doesn't take the ball right up to him, which means that there's no injection of pace in the whole team coming from the back. The secret to Pep's team is the pace of the movement of the ball out from the central defenders at the back. And without Laporte and Stones, both international injured playing on the international duties, the game doesn't propel from the back. And that's the critical bit. You know, it was deceptive because midweek when you had Leipzig, they were playing kamikaze football. They were playing bonkers open football, which City would love. And it was like a school kids game. This was different. Southampton were a well-disciplined, well-oiled team. You've got to say, you know, Arsenal won 1-0 at Burnley. Would City have on Saturday? I'm not sure they would. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, this is the problem that we've got right now, is if Man City want to do a title challenge, I mean, I know they can afford to lose maybe 3 or 4 games, right? Yeah, but the thing is, most of the time when you're playing in the Premier League, you're pacing yourself against the opposition. There's a psychological warfare that goes on. You're not playing 38 games in isolation from everyone else. Week by week, results are compared. There is a marathon going on, and you're pacing yourself. This inability to score a goal. I mean, they scored 5 goals in the last game, right? And it looks, for all intents and purposes, like they had no issue scoring goals. But it's in games like this when you need that type of world-class forward, like a Ronaldo or a Messi or a Kane or something like that, or a Haaland, where you need someone that has got that ability, that's going to struggle at a goal.
Playing a false
if you've got enough quality behind him.
An open team like Leipzig, or you know, when Arsenal were a bit all at sea when City played, I mean, it's all well and good. But when you have a really well-disciplined team like Southampton or Burnley or whatever, that's when you need a really good centre forward to find your way through that dense packed defence. And I knew we'd come undone, and the top 4 teams. Having a quick look at the team and layout there. Sterling playing through the centre. Gabriel Jesus started in the right instead of Mahrez, and was really ineffective.
I think they're making a mistake by playing Jesus up on the right hand side. I think they are making a mistake there. Secondly, you know, the reason why I mentioned about the defense is because realistically, the midfield that you have, or any midfield for most of the teams out there, they can only play freely when they've got confidence behind them. If they feel that they have to supplement the defense on a constant basis, then they can't be the dynamic forces they want to be in the midfield. Now, so, you know, at the end of the day, this team wasn't playing alone. Southampton was also on the pitch at the same time. But the interesting thing here is that most of the duels were 50-50. So Southampton won just as many challenges as Man City did. So, you know, the way I look at it, if you're a dominating team, you should be winning most of those. You should have the quality to get 60% above the opposition's 40%. And secondly, you should be passing the ball around.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get through all the games. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll keep it short and sweet, but I just wish that Arteta could maybe ring Hasenhüttl and go, all right, mate, so this is how you get a draw at Man City. You do this, this, and this, and then we do that, and then we finally get a draw. All I want from City away is a draw. I never want anything more. Anything else is a bonus. I don't know how Southampton got the draw, but they did. And it's not impossible. It's just like you can get draws at all the other big teams.
They got a draw against the United as well, remember?
Exactly. So, you know, and this is a team that got beat, what was it, 8-0, 9-0? Like twice over.
Yeah, 2 seasons in a row. 2 seasons in a row, they got smacked 89 goals. And as I was saying, this is the problem that Southampton have, is that they will be resilient against certain teams and then they will capitulate against others. And then eventually there'll be one game in the season where they're going to get dirty slapped. And has the team matured or changed in any way since those last 2 teams, the last 2 seasons? I don't think there's been enough improvement made with Southampton. But, you know, good on them. They managed to get a point away from Man City. I think it's poor showing from Man City for them to be losing 3 points.
But
I think that's
watching Southampton and watching Newcastle on the TV, I can't see them going down. I'm not sure they're going down. And which brings us on to our next game, which is Norwich Watford. And Norwich, and I've got two passionate mates who've been on the show, if you remember. And Norwich are looking pretty sorry for themselves. Yes, Pukki scored what was a pretty good goal, a real striker's goal, but they weren't great. But I want to talk about Watford because I didn't think Watford would be good enough to stay up. But actually, I think I'm wrong. Watford were really impressive. Sarr is a great player. I'm amazed that no one picked him up, at Liverpool or, instead of Wijnaldum. I mean, he is a really talented player. Surely clubs are going to be all over him in January. But what was also lovely to see was Josh King out there.
Ian, you think Watford will stay up?
Yeah, I do now. I do.
No way.
No way.
No. But who's going to go? Give me your three then, Ian.
Going down.
Yeah.
Norwich for definite.
Yeah, standard. Yeah, they're going.
Wolves.
Yeah,
no, I think Wolves are in trouble. God, who am I going to pick out their last one?
Surely Wolves are better than. Surely Wolves are better than Watford, though.
No, I think they're in trouble. I can't think of a third one, but I'm not sure it's going to be Watford. What do you think?
I don't know. I still think Watford will go down. I think they're two.
Three, and I'll chuck it to Mr. K.
I go Norwich. Definitely. I would go Watford. I think Brentford will stay up. I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe Newcastle. Maybe. I don't know.
I think this could be Newcastle's year. I'm muted. No, I'm not. I think Newcastle. If the dressing room is become like this, and then it's happening at the beginning of the season, and this is not the best time to do it, because if this happened to any other team, eventually the manager would get sacked. The problem is this is happening in Newcastle. The manager will not get sacked.
Exactly.
And this dissatisfaction, if it runs into December, you can expect them to really compete against Norwich then at the bottom. Who's going to be the worst side? They've got quality to stay up though. The problem is putting those different elements of the players together and having the game plan and the pacing to go throughout the rest of the season.
Who's your three?
They've definitely got it, but they're not. I think this is where the players are slightly dissatisfied with Bruce. If you got players that think they're smarter than the manager, then that tells you that the manager has got an alternative agenda in terms of what he needs to achieve, and that's been set by the chairman. So I think this might be the parachute payment that they're after.
I read it wrong. I didn't read that the players had an issue with Steve Bruce. There was a bust up between the assistant manager and Dwight Gale. That's the player.
Dwight Gale. Yeah, he's got it.
Dwight Gale. It was the assistant manager and Dwight Gale who had the bust up. It was nothing to do with Bruce.
I'll be honest, Ian. I was listening to a very popular football show on Twitch. And they talked about the whole thing, and I listened to the whole thing, and that's what I got for it. So
I think Bruce is all right in the dressing room.
I think what it is that, look, at the end of the day, if you're the manager, you need to be in control of that situation. You cannot be allowing your assistant manager to be having arguments with one of your, let's face it, Dwight Gale. He has put it out for the club in the past. And he has the attacking intensity that you need in the long run. For the whole season, you need those attacking players to come forward. You cannot be allowing this to happen. The dressing room cannot be a good place right now. That's just wrong. Right? I mean, I've seen some good plays from Newcastle in terms of some of their players. Would I put them in the bottom three? And the answer is possibly.
Ooh.
Possibly.
So who's in the
can
bottom
Burnley
three?
pull themselves out of it?
You're saying Norwich, Newcastle,
Norwich, Burnley, and Newcastle.
Ooh, Burnley. So so not Watford.
No,
Watford has got 6 points.
Good
So
point.
much of that bottom three depends on injuries and the January transfer window.
I don't see Burnley going down now. I don't see Burnley going down.
No,
I think this could be their season as well. No, I think Burnley's kind of like. I think this might be their season.
Watford
They're running
doing
out of
11th.
ideas.
Watford are in 11th.
Yeah,
Christ.
but they've only got 6 points though.
They're above
They've only got
us.
6 points.
They're above Arsenal.
Yeah, but that wasn't too hard to do though, because you're at the bottom earlier. Listen, they're only on 6
on to
points.
the next game. I want
You
to
can
pull us
tell
on
I've
to the
not
next
been
game.
looking at the table.
I want to pull us on
I
to
have.
the next game, chaps, because the final game of the day looked really even. That's Villa Everton. Everton, unfortunately, again, and this is the way the tide turned. They did have a whole raft of players out. I think Coleman's out. They've got Calvert-Lewin out. They've got Richarlison out. And there's another player of influence. Oh, the goalkeeper, of course, Pickford. Yeah, that's a bit of a pain, isn't it, to go into a tough game like Villa? But bloody hell, I watched Villa, and I want to put their team up on the board. And it was evens for quite a long time, but oops, they're there.
There you go.
Boy, I thought they were good. And if I wanted to suggest a goal of the day, that one by Matty Cash, that first goal, he cut across the area, he smacks it in, his first goal for Villa. He celebrated in front of his family. That was a perler, wasn't it?
Both the first and the third.
Yeah,
the first and the third were there was a stop it. You just say,
oh yeah, Bailey. I mean, Bailey. I mean, he came on like thunder. He scored. He thunders a goal, and then he gets injured and leaves the pitch.
Standard.
Tottenham was. This is one of those players that Tottenham had viewed, Leon Bailey, and instead of buying him, we bought Giel instead. Brian Giel.
Never heard of him.
And I think
Never heard of him.
Leon Bailey or Giel?
Grill.
Exactly. I think the reason why they've done it because they were swapping Lamella for the same club, right? So that's the reason why they've done it. It's purely money, Levy. He's like that. So I think to a certain degree we were interested in. We needed somebody on the right wing, someone like Leon Bailey. But obviously, I'm glad he's got his opportunity to play for the Premier League. And when you do play for the Premier League, the first season you go in, there is a danger you're going to get injured on a regular basis because everyone's going to put their foot in. The pace of the game is incredibly fast. I think that's an exciting player, one to watch. Definitely one to watch. Leon Bailey is definitely one player to watch.
Where did he come from? What club did he come from?
I think he was in Leipzig. I'm not too sure.
Leipzig, I think, or Dortmund.
Something like that. He was one of the European German teams. And the reason why we were linked to him, what happened is when we got Paratici, all of a sudden the shift of emphasis for players changed from Germany and went straight to Italy and Spain. And the rest is history.
Let's just pause for a minute and look at that Villa team. You've got Bailey and Lookman, haven't you, also to come into that team?
Up on there.
And Danny Ings was fantastic. Watkins, I love him. And again, this is going back to why Man City don't have a number 9 when Villa has 2. Douglas Luiz, I thought, was awesome as a midfielder. And again, City could have bought him back. McGinn, you've got to love him, even though he went off with concussion. The strength all the way around. Mings came in with. I think the goal was. And Martinez is so good for them. I think he only arrived back in the early hours of the morning, and then they put him straight in the team. I'm going to put myself on mute. Thoughts?
I think we've got ourselves. I think Aston Villa. They seem to have spent the money well. They definitely have the core of a team that can survive in the Premier League. So I think to a certain degree, Aston Villa is definitely a team that is probably thinking to itself this season: can we hit those top 10, and can we hit the top 8 within the top 10? If we're there or thereabouts, then there's a chance that they might get into a European slot. And I think that's really Aston Villa's aspirations for this season. The question is, how is this team going to gel? You do have people like Lookman. You do have Watkins that's burst onto the scene. He's got an experienced strike partner in Ings, and he can learn a lot from him. And I think that bodes well, because I don't know how long Ings is going to be in this team for. But it is definitely going to give the experience over to Watkins. And, Watkins was another player that we were linked with. Amazing enough, Spurs seems to be linked with every player. But I think they've got... I think they've got themselves... I think the building of a good squad here. They need about 3 more good quality players to really like push themselves into the top 6. So either a good run, or alternatively some more purchasing in the January transfer window to give them a bit more depth. And I think that would bode well. Grealish isn't there anymore, so the creativity side, right? Yeah, is going to have to be picked up by the other players.
Can you imagine when Man City go to play there, how the fans and the Villa team will be determined to stick one on City for signing Grealish? What do you reckon, Ollie?
Well, you would say maybe they don't need Grealish. Seems as they won 3-0. It was to be fair, it was a pretty close game between the two teams, but no one could finish their dinner in the first half. No one wanted to put the ball in the back of the net. And then, like you say, what a goal from Matty Cash. I mean, absolute peach. Like you say, Ian, probably one of the goals of the weekend. Probably was the goal of the weekend. It took time for Villa to get the first, but then on from that, it was like they got the second. Nice own goal from Digne, from a corner, own goal. Take that all day. And then, an amazing finish from Bailey, even though he went off injured. It wouldn't even matter. But, it's one of those games that the first goal was the most important. They got that first goal, and then it just gave them that confidence. Really gave them that impetus. And then, because Everton were in the game for... I mean, they hit the bar, didn't they, as well? With a good...
somebody thumped the bar.
Everton had chances. But as soon as that first Villa goal went in, it was done.
Yeah.
And I think the second goal went in within a minute of the first. So, that's the Premier League. That's why the Premier League's the best league in the world. Because of that.
When I wrote down my goals the weekend... Oh gosh, the echo's back. But Matty Cash was number one. I thought Keita was great. Bailey, St. Maxim for Newcastle, and I put your man Odegaard in there as well. As my
that was a good goal.
It was a good goal, wasn't it?
We don't score a lot of free kicks. It was good. It was good. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate that, bro.
That's all right.
There's a lot of love here. There's a lot of love here.
And when I wrote down my idiots of the weekend, I did actually think of Baptiste for Brentford. I thought that was such a rugby tackle. It's just a joke. Marcel for Wolves, giving a penalty away with, again, another crazy rugby tackle on Tony. Ben White, there's no love lost there. Ben White's back pass was bonkers for £50 million player. But then
Ian,
he's still madness.
I didn't think Walker's actually. I watched it and I heard a lot about it, but I didn't think. I thought Walker's was 6 to 1, half a dozen the other. I don't think it was.
What led up is he stupidly lost the ball, and therefore you could see the red mist, and he went charging after him and jumped into that tackle. Now
it looks like who was the player who was for the Saints? Who was the Saints player though? It looked like the Saints player
Armstrong.
Yeah, I think Armstrong did more than Walker, which means it wasn't a penalty. I was erring on the side of Walker, personally.
But I just thought it was reckless. I thought it was reckless.
It was definitely reckless, yeah. With a capital R.
Yeah. But in my wow players, I had Ivan Toney down, Ings, Sarr at Watford, St. Maximum and Thiago Silva. I just thought those players just blew my socks off this weekend.
Are we going to talk about the Tottenham game? Because I've been looking forward to this.
We're coming on to this. We're coming on to today. So we'll come to it. First of all, we had a game earlier today, which was Brighton 2, Leicester 1. Graham Potter is a bloody good manager. And Brighton are playing really nicely. They've got the big grudge match against Palace coming up a week Monday. So, it'll be if we meet again next Sunday night, it'll be on the Monday, which is a bit of a shame. But boy, Palace are playing well. Mr. K, any thoughts on Brighton? Are you there?
Yeah, I think Brighton really starting to show their dynamic play the way that their manager wants them to play. Pass the ball, get into spaces, and just move the ball from one point to the next in a quick transition and keep control. It's interesting that Maupay and really you got the first, you got Trossard, Maupay, and Welbeck, and they are contributing. whether they're contributing in assists or whether they're contributing in terms of goals. And that's really what you want. That's, as a manager, that's what you want your front three to do. You want them to really, contribute or score the goals or finish them off. And this is the exciting time for Brighton, I believe, where they're starting to score goals and they're starting to, really look at them. If you look at the rest of the midfield, you can see that they've employed a very simple 3-4-2-1, and the Maupay can track himself back into the midfield to help out, and Welbeck can go forward instead, because Welbeck and Maupay can switch positions if they need to, and Trossard can just literally run around the front of any of that part of there. And I think it's very exciting. If these three players
to see Lallana and Welbeck, two guys who probably should have had a much bigger England career but blighted by injury, but it is so nice to see them at Brighton playing well, don't you think?
I love seeing Welbeck score. He's always been a player to my heart, and it was lovely to see him score. And like you say, we don't ever want players to kind of just go into the abyss and never be seen again. It's nice to see players like that still doing their thing, even if it's at Brighton or it was at Arsenal or at Man United. I think with Brighton, it's a funny thing, isn't it? Because I remember 2 seasons ago when Potter came in, and everyone was like, "Oh, what's he doing?" And it's not. You can't play like this, and you can't do this, you can't do that. And now look at where he is. Like it's amazing. I mean, given the time, the patience.
Go on, Mr. K.
I was saying that there was always a chance. I mean, the thing was Brighton just didn't consistently play like that, and that was the issue. Are they going to be able to maintain this level of consistency throughout the rest of the season, or do they need to bring in a couple of more players to be in the front?
I think you've nailed it on the head.
That's the thing.
Whether you Watford, Southampton, Brighton, Newcastle, all those sort of clubs, so much is about luck of injuries. If you remember, Southampton were like league leaders last season. They were setting the pace, and then they got 2 or 3 injuries and plummeted. We all, Arsenal, Spurs, City, we forget that, our squad is deep. But those clubs, anybody probably in the bottom 10, their squads are so thin that it is the luck of the draw if they go down. If they get 2 or 3 bad injuries, they're in trouble. And Brighton had that last season. Southampton had it in spades. And so much of that, it's that after Christmas, it's that January, February period.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Isn't it funny, though? Because, this is the first time.
In January, they could be stuffed. If Brighton lose Basuma in January, they could be stuffed.
But, this is the first time I've looked at the table, because you guys have made me look at the table. And Leicester on the...
We could have made you look at it 2 weeks ago.
I know. I didn't look at it then, so it wasn't going to happen. But Leicester on 6 points with us. Right, so Leicester nearly made Europe last season. Brighton are in 4th place, above Man City by 2 points. Everton are up there in 6th as well. You can't call it at the moment, like you say, but Brighton have had a great start, and they could have done all the hard work early on, so that they don't have to do it later on.
I think if Arsenal and Tottenham don't pick up their seasons, then we could have some surprise teams that are coming into the European slots.
Mr. K, we're 2 for 2, man. We're 2 for 2. We're 2 for 2.
No, I'm just saying that basically the season's long, and it will go up and down. But what I'm saying is, right now, the impetus and the closeness between the teams, which are at the bottom of the table and the top of the table, how they compete at any given time, depending upon what first squad they've got. Any team can go up against any team, right? And the way I see it is that some of the teams that have now been, like Brighton, for example, they've had a few years now under their manager, and it's not just the new manager, it's also the recruiting system that they've got, the type of policies that they've employed. Ever since they let go of Chris Hughton, they brought in Potter, but they also brought in the director of football. Actually, no, what's he called? A technical director. It's something like that. It's cross between a technical director and a director of football. But when they brought that in, they had a clear strategy in mind of what they wanted to do for the future and what type of players they wanted to bring in. And basically, Potter's job was to develop in-house a type of playing style that would become synonymous with Brighton. away from the type of play that they used to have before, where, you know, they played similar to a certain degree, a bit like Burnley in the past. So that would grind out results, but not necessarily get them in the top half of the table. And I think basically Brighton have aspirations to get into the top half of the table and stay there. And the only way they can do that is if they have a good recruiting system and the team and squad that they have an identity of what they're playing, so they can play instinctively, quick passing, slick football. And that's basically what Brighton have, to pass the ball from the back to the front. And it's strange sometimes that teams that do that type of that play in that fashion, you'll see them in, like, if they got the ball right at the back, they will play out rather than try to clear. And while they're trying to play out, everyone's like going, oh, what's going to happen? The ball's going to get turned over. And really, it's that maturing of the team and the confidence that they have from the back line and going into the midfield. That's really going to start showing itself in the rest of the season. So I think things might be getting bright for Brighton.
Luck of injuries or luck of not being plundered for their best players in January. Need to move on. Time, guys. We've got to talk about West Ham Man United. Again, when I was looking at the fixtures of the weekend, post-European games, etc., I was thinking, United are going to have a tough game at West Ham. I thought Liverpool would have a tough time against Palace. And much begrudgingly I say this, hats off to United for claiming that win. But boy, there was drama. I mean, it was an absolute humdinger of a game. Bloody Ronaldo scores again, and that's always like a circus when Widow Twanky gets on the stage and puts the ball in the back of the net. And then we went through, Lingard scoring a fantastic goal. It had to be Lingard against West Ham. It just had to be. That's football. That's drama. That's pantomime. So you've got the full pantomime on there. You've got Widow Twanky scoring the first goal. You've got Aladdin coming back and scoring what looks to be the winner. And then somehow the bloody giant comes down the beanstalk at the end and they get a penalty and Noble comes on and hits the post. I mean, it's a pantomime, isn't it?
First of all,
am I wrong?
Ian, what is
I think
Widow Twanky? What is that? Who is that?
Well, it's the old dame, isn't it? In the pantomime that comes on and scores like.
Oh, right.
Or Aladdin.
Your synopsis there is one of the best synopsises I've ever heard of a football match. Yeah. I didn't even know what Widow Twanky was, but it was brilliant, Ian. Thank you. That was great.
I listened and watched a lot of the game, and it was one of those massively dramatic pantomime type games with every bit of action you could possibly have. So that's what it seemed like to me. One of somewhat like you couldn't write it. It had to be.
It was a good game. I didn't actually get to watch the whole thing, but I thought the West Ham goal was a bit lucky. And then Ronaldo, I mean, the boy could hit the ball against the corner flag. It could bounce off and be in his path to put it back in the goal. I don't know how that man gets so lucky. He's the luckiest player I've ever seen. But Lingard's goal was sick. It was a sick goal, and that's just poetic justice, isn't it? He didn't celebrate as well. Just celebrate, mate. Come on, man. Don't do that.
And after he lost the game for them against the young boys in the midweek, he then turns it around. You can't write that stuff, can you?
And then De Gea, first save since 2014. Since 2014, the guy can't save a penalty.
And then there's pictures I saw afterwards of Cristiano Ronaldo indicating to De Gea which way he's going to go. What can't this guy do?
What was that called? Widow Wanky is what was
Widow Twanky.
Widow Twanky.
No, I preferred the way you said it.
It's not
I think we've got situated. Look, I think I just don't understand where you got a player like Jesse Lingard, who's an England international, and I suppose every player in Man United probably are. He's not signing a contract, which means he's going to walk out on a free. Okay, so come January, he can sign with whoever he wants to. The question is, will he sign up with West Ham again, or might he go down the road to Everton? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to find out what. If he was going to sign a contract with Man United, he would have signed it already by now, because I don't think money's an issue really too much with them. I think he's just going to get more money if he signs from fresh, like a signing on fee. So it's interesting to see that that the boy's being played consistently by Ollie. So I don't understand if you're going to put a man like that onto your pitch and he's going to be contributing, good or bad, but mostly contributing in a good way, you should really be signed him up. And it just seems to me that for them to carry on playing a player that's not going to be around for the end of the season or is going to be shooting off next season, they could be giving someone else a run out. But luckily for them, he's pulled out the goods. And I think that's really goes against what someone like Sancho, for example, has been achieving so far in the games that they've played. So they've got one of their own that's like, been in the team for a while. And then they've got this new starlet that's come along. Starlet's doing absolutely nothing. Okay, Sancho's doing absolutely nothing. And I think a lot of United fans out there are not too happy with him. They're still, obviously, it's a young player, so still got to give him a little bit of time. But, the way I look at it is that Jesse Lingard is having probably the season of his life last season and this season. I think this spell that he's having, this purple patch, is very reminiscent of what he did when he was actually in the England setup. He was playing this way. I think, if anything, he's got better. I think Lingard has actually got better with more wisdom on the ball and a bit lucky as well.
You're probably right. I mean, you look at the talent United have got up front. So you've got Rashford, Martial, Lingard, Bellingham, Cavani, Ronaldo, and I missed some, and Sancho. 7. It's incredible talent up front. It's just amazing. And yet Man City don't have number 9, which Anthony Herbert's been writing into us all evening. Thank you, Anthony, and big waves to Anthony there. And he's got a thought. What's your thoughts on Man City and would they buy in January? Well, Man City have got glaringly 2 big gaps. One at left back, and again, Cancelo is not a left back and gets caught out, and Zinchenko is not a left back, and a centre forward. And to tell you who I was watching, I think Burnley bought a left back, Cornet, and I was watching him, and he's a good lad. So to answer Anthony's question, I think they'll get one or the other. I think they're only going to buy a centre either if they are exactly right for the club, and if they're not going to buy. City aren't famous for buying. I don't think they've bought anyone in January since Benjani, and look what happened then. But so I'd like to think so, but it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't. Talk Man U. Viva Ronaldo, running down the wing, hearing United sing Viva Ronaldo. Yes, it's a pantomime. He's there. What can I say? Ronaldo. Yeah. Hold on, are you trying to play Ronaldo's skill as luck? Do you want some chips with your salt? Yeah,
I think. Look,
arguably,
you have to put hats off. You have to have hats off for this guy. I mean, he's what, 30? What is he, 47 or something? For a player of his age,
absolutely bet your life I would.
Quality players stay quality no matter how old they get. You see that in all the great players that have come.
The point was though that was lucky how it hit the keeper. It could have gone anywhere. It went straight back to his feet. Like that is a bit lucky. When you're a quality player, you make your own luck.
Quotes of all time comes from Gary Player, the golfer, and Gary Player, the golfer, was attributed with the line where he says, "The harder I practice, the luckier I get." And in a week when maybe it was true, but I love to think the story was true, where all the Man United players decided not to have any pudding because Ronaldo wasn't having any, and you can't take it away from the guy. He pushes himself to the limit. His obsession with his physicality, etc.
No, I totally agree on all that, but the fact still states that when he hit that off the goalkeeper, it could have gone anywhere. But it literally just bounced. And that's literally a yard within his step, and it was just like, all right, sweet, I'll pop it in.
It's not real life. It's not real life. It's watching fantasy football.
It was a bit lucky. And if that happened to Arsenal, it would be lucky for Arsenal as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. Anthony's again, he's getting excited now. West Ham will be kicking themselves after the game. Yeah, you're right. But they had the chance and it wasn't there. Arteta out. Well, I think you're wrong there, but
the
Gemma
spirit.
says
That's the
Bellingham
spirit.
question mark. Well, Bellingham, all I can say is the Premier League must be bloody blind to have let him gone to Dortmund in the first place. I've got a really good mate who's a passionate Birmingham fan, and he said and he's my age, and he says he's the best player since Trevor Francis, and everybody knew at the club. They retired the shirt. Are the Premier League just dumb not signing up? Some joker, probably City, are going to end up coughing the best part of 100 million quid for this lad, and he'll be worth it.
Look, I think this is the problem that we're having in the Premier League right now, is that the games are so tight that the managers they can't risk putting youth in there. So if the youth need to develop, they need to have a run of games. They need to be consistent throughout the season. And realistically, where can they go? Are you going to loan them out to a championship team, a League One team, or are they going to go abroad? Are they going to end up in either in Germany or alternatively in Holland, most likely in Germany? And there seems to be a trend going that way, where those type of teams, like for example Dortmund, are willing to invest by putting youth players on the pitch and letting them play together. We don't get enough of that. We haven't had anything like that since Ferguson's days.
Yeah, but when you think about it, how old was Ronaldo when Ferguson signed him and put him in the team? 18. How old was Rooney when Ferguson signed him and put
18.
him in the team? Yeah.
No, but at the end of the day, it was basically the Man United play against another team, and Ronaldo beat the crap out of them everywhere, and they said, "Forget that, I might as well buy him."
Anyway, we have one more game to discuss. And I watched it all, and I'm going to let you take the lion's share here, Mr. K. Keep it inside 5 minutes. But I thought Tottenham had a really good first 40 minutes. I thought they played some of the best football I've seen Spurs. But then you've got to say, when Roy Keane was pasting Tottenham second half, boy, Roy Keane was having a go at them. Mr. K, what do you think? Nope, you're on mute. Right, that's his opinion over. We'll get.
Okay, I think. Look, at the end of the day, I think everyone enjoyed the first 20 minutes. The game was on both sides were attacking each other. Spurs started to lose a little bit of steam towards the end of the first half. Come the second half, Chelsea made a change. They brought, little Wonder Man on, and they tightened up their mid three. And that was it. The game was over after that. We didn't see the ball. We couldn't play the ball forward. We had to go on the outsides. We weren't lobbing the ball enough. It just seemed to me that our players just run out of steam. They weren't pressing as hard as they should be. And there was a lack of creativity that was being pushed. The final ball is basically, we had chances in the first half. And if the ball had just been a little bit of quality when being delivered, then I reckon there would have been a goal or two from our side. Son was coming back from an injury. So in the second half, he looked like he wasn't going to make any runs at all.
But some of his first touches in the first half were brilliant.
Well, the thing is, the second half, he wasn't making any more runs. And the problem is that if you look at the way they're set up itself, right, yeah, you see that instead of Kane being in the middle at the front, it's Son in the middle in the front. And Kane's playing on the left. Right? So the focus of attack... Yeah, so the focus of attack was being funneled towards Sonny. But the problem is, right, yeah, Sonny just came back from injury. You can't expect him to last the whole game. So if that's the case, you keep him on as a sub and then bring him on as an impact player, a bit exactly like what Chelsea did. So I'm a bit disappointed that we played it the way we did. But having said that, the lineup was a strong lineup. If we were going to do anything against Chelsea, then this would have been the team to do it. The only person we were missing was Moura. That's about it, really. I think that was two mistakes we made. One was that we should have stuck Kane at the front. And if we had Moura, obviously we can't have him. But if we had him, then we would have played him. Emerson, I thought this game was a bit too big for him. And Tanganga, unfortunately, got a red card in the previous game, so he couldn't have played. And I think basically that might have made a difference because we needed players to be combative. Whenever you play Chelsea, I'm sorry, but you got to be combative against Chelsea because they'll foul you and smile about it and pretend like they've done nothing. So you need to do it back to them. Jorginho was an absolute pest in the midfield. He kept tripping and fouling people and not getting a yellow card for it. Chelsea's like that.
Yeah, he
You
did.
know a team is going to get to the top. You know a team is running to the top.
I thought he was going to get red at one stage.
That's the point, though. When teams that don't get reds and don't get yellows and they carry on doing this, then that tells me that that team is going to the top. Because the top teams are the ones that don't get the yellow cards. They're the ones that get the decisions put in their favor. Like Man United used to get penalties all the time. You know, similar to that effect. But it is what it is. I think 3-0 is a bit flattering for Chelsea. I think 2-0 would have been a better score. I think Tottenham need to redeem themselves. And the best way to do that is, play local team and beat them like 5-0 or something.
Not gonna happen.
I'm going to come to Ollie in a second. I promise you, Ollie, you'll get the right to reply on this one. But again, I want to re-mention Thiago Silva. I thought for a 27-year-old, for a 17-year-old, I mean, the guy was awesome. He commanded the whole game. I thought he was brilliant. And what I also, because I flicked back, because I'm a geek, and what I was quite interested in was when Spurs played Rennes away, and that's a long journey back. It's a decent journey back on a Thursday night, ready for a Sunday game. But I think there was only 3 players that played today. They did a huge amount of rotation between the Thursday game and this weekend. So actually, they should have had more freshness than a lot of the teams that were playing today. But you're right, starting with Son and Ndebele, both players coming back, they were going to run out of gas, and they did. Both of them ran out of gas, and I thought Harry Kane ran out of gas and ideas as well. And Ndebele, again, for the first half an hour, it was the best I've almost ever seen him play. He then started to just go run a bit wild. He's a bit of a wild horse, isn't he?
I think the boy is look, at least as far as fans are concerned, we see him making the effort. We see him running around. We see him in the back. We see him in the front. We see him on either wing. And that's only a good thing because it shows that the boy has got the passion for the club. He wants to play with the teammates and play for the team, the badge. And that's all you ever want from, no matter which team you support, whether your team wins or loses, that's what you want to see from the players, that they're willing to put it in. And,
because you've already got Harry Kane there, who basically follows the ball around the pitch and runs everywhere. And, he'll be helping his defense. He'll be playing on the right, playing on the left without, I mean, he does it. You've got to admit, he does do that. But to have 2 players doing that, doesn't that smash the structure of the whole team?
Well, you can't help that because the actual structure of the team relies upon quality players stepping forward and stepping up. And what's happening with Spurs is the way that they leak goals, right? Yeah, you need the forward players to start coming back, especially occupying the midfield. Sometimes they do that a little bit slowly, and that's really where you have problems coming up. But I think right now the team is still trying to find its way under Nuno, and Nuno is trying to implement some sort of different way of playing. The players are starting to get that into their minds. It hasn't fully got there yet. The first 3 games showed us one part of what Nuno's trying to do, which is trying to make the team more compact in the middle and in defense, so that it forces players outside. The only problem is that that's come at the detriment of creativity and attacking forward. So we've only scored 3 goals, one of them from open play, one of them from a free kick that was very lucky to go in, and the second one was from a penalty. So 3 goals and played 5 games. This is not good. So the attacking intent of the team, right? Yeah. Remember last season, we were scoring goals for fun. But we were also leaking them even worse. This time round, we're a bit more solid in the back, except for the last 2 games. I don't know. I don't know where our team is right now. Maybe Ollie knows.
You've signed a good one in Christian Romero. I think he's going to be really good. Ollie, I'm going to throw it over to you. Spurs are heading to, and I was going to say the Etihad then, the Emirates. They're heading to the Emirates on the back of 2 quite, on paper, big defeats. Arsenal have had 2 wins under the belt, so it's all reversed.
Yeah, I think I don't remember
looking forward to it.
I don't remember what show I was on, but I said we'll beat Norwich, we'll beat Burnley, and then we'll beat Spurs at home. And then I said, to be fair, I didn't see you losing to Palace, but that was just a bonus. And then obviously you lost to Chelsea, which I said hands down was definitely going to happen. And it did. I even said 3-0 and I didn't bet on it. I don't know why I didn't, but it's a good thing I didn't. It might have not gone that way. So yeah, it's all down to London Derby because we win that, and we're on the same points, and all of that stuff that went before is all rubbish. And to be fair, after watching the game, and I did watch the game on the bus on the way home from work, I think we can beat you. I think you're a beatable side at the moment.
I think
Kane has a record against Arsenal.
How many points have they got? If Arsenal get 3 points next
we'll
weekend,
be on 9.
They'll be tied. They'll be tied, and then it's down to goal difference. Right now, there's a 4 goal difference between us, and it'd be very unlikely that Arsenal's going to score 5 goals.
It's fine.
Maybe they might not. But you got to remember one thing: there's certain players like Kane, for example, they always seem to like to score against Arsenal.
Yeah, but I still think if Kane scores, but if you look at your record at the Emirates, it's not as good as it is away at the Spurs stadium.
Look, at the end of the day, all these teams have to prove themselves. Arteta team has to prove themselves, and this is the challenge now. Can you overcome one of your arch rivals to get up the table?
You know what? It's such a great game because it's a huge game for both managers because really both is on the line for both. Right, it's at Arsenal, so if Arsenal lose, then it's going to be Arteta out. Nuno, for all he's trying to do, it's still not looking great. And like you say, Kane will probably score. But I don't know. I think we'll win. But maybe I'm overconfident.
I think there's going to be goals in this game. There has to be goals in this game because they're two fierce rivals.
But a point on Chelsea, though, I said Man United for the league after I saw Ronaldo against Newcastle. But Chelsea, man, they are just a pure class Premier. They look like a Premier League. You were ahead in the game, and I was thinking, Spurs could do this here, right? And they come out at half time, and it's just when you've got a manager that good, and I wouldn't say that the players he's got a great team, but the changes that they made, it's just, and that's all you need to do. Right, you go 1-0, 2-0 down against Chelsea, just finish the game because you ain't gonna win.
Chaps, you know what I mean? we need to wrap up the evening. I'm going to let you you can think about it for a minute, Ollie. I'm going to put it to Mr. K. Your closing summary in just a couple of sentences or so, sir. On this
I think it's been an exciting type of Premier League the last 3 days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think the table is a little bit open in the middle and at the top. The top teams are starting to forge up ahead. I mean, Man City always start a bit slowly anyway. So I expect them to start charging up eventually and getting it all together. But this is very, very exciting. Lukaku's back. Ronaldo's back. I think this is the season that we're going to start to see some of the English teams doing a lot more better in the Champions League. I think from what I see, the quality of play that's happening right now, I think they can really be challenging for honours there. What's going to happen in the league? Well, one thing for sure, Norwich is definitely not going anywhere.
Ollie, finish it.
I'm very excited because I've actually I'm hosting my first show on FTB Sports, and it is an Arsenal Spurs preview on Saturday night.
Great.
I've got some of my friends. I've also got my dad coming on, who is he's old school. He's old school, and you love it. So I'm really looking forward to that. Look, it's been a great weekend. I think the Premier League is the best league in the world, and that's why we can sit here and talk about it for hours, and we really could go on for hours. But great weekend. Bring on next weekend. It's gonna. I'm all happy now, but come Sunday afternoon, I'm going to be absolutely a nervous wreck. So, yeah.
Have you got any Spurs fans coming into your show?
Yeah, I've got two. Do you want to come on, do you?
No. If you got 2, that's enough.
I got 2. They're season ticket holders.
Maybe we'll all get together next Sunday evening and discuss the aftermath. Yeah.
I know, but I don't. The problem is, Ian, I don't know what state I'm going to be in. It's I literally start drinking at about 10 o'clock, and it just doesn't stop. So you might just have me slumped in a chair.
Yeah, I hope there's a glass of champagne at some stage. Anyway, to finish off the evening,
that's a good idea. We should get some champagne in. Yeah, no, I like that. I'll be on, Ian.
Right, with a glass of champagne. One of you will have a glass of champagne. But I've thoroughly enjoyed this weekend of football. There's been some fantastic goals, some fantastic performances, and not always by the old school teams, even though, Chelsea did the business, United did the business, Liverpool did the business. City were god awful, but you've got to say, well done Brentford, well done Watford, team, and well done Aston Villa. Really exciting this weekend. Well, I'm looking forward to the next few weeks, and interestingly, it's important we reflect on other times. I was trying to remember whether it was 1999 or 2000. I think it was 1999, and Man City were in the equivalent of Division 2, which is the equivalent of Division 1 now. And I went to watch City at Wycombe Wanderers, and City lost 2-0 in the teeming rain, and they were beyond awful. And they play Wycombe Wanderers this coming Wednesday night, and I hope they kick their ass. It's payback.
Ian, do you know what? You know where I'm going on Wednesday night? I'm going to Millwall. I've never been.
What?
I'm going to Millwall. Yeah.
Oh,
tickets to Millwall, so I'm quite looking forward to that.
Yeah. And then it's no problem. It's easy life all the way. Don't you wish you were away at Chelsea, away at Paris Saint-Germain, and away at Liverpool in 3 consecutive games? How's that?
They're your next games?
Yep.
You'll win them all. Don't worry.
Away at Chelsea, away at Paris Saint-Germain, and away at Liverpool. Happy days, eh? Thanks, guys. Good evening.
Good evening, guys.